She got her voice back. We heard a little bit of the fluffiness as well coming into the voice. I just get so excited. Kia ora and welcome. My name is Zoe and I'm your vocal coach for today. We have the pleasure of taking a look at Delta Goodrem with Eclipse at the grand final of Eurovision. And yes, I watched this performance on Saturday with my friends. And so today we're going to be taking a look at what is she up to with her vocal technique, how did she create these sounds, and how can you create. And let's just get straight to the video.
Shadows in the moonlight, dancing with the sun. Planets are aligning to love as one. And
is she not just one of the most fabulous singers? Look at that. Look at that costume. Listen to that sound. So it goes, planets are aligning. We definitely have a chest voice or a thicker vocal fold there. Now, there's a little bit of breath in the sound. So that just means the vocal folds are slightly open. It's not about pushing breath, though. It's almost about holding it back and reducing the volume in that chest voice. Let's just watch that again.
shadows in the moonlight, dancing with the sun. Planets are aligning to love as one, and it won't be long till the morning comes.
So when she's going to and it won't be love, you're hearing that open vowel. It's just allowing those vocal folds to thicken up a little bit. Now, it's something really interesting that happens when we go into more of an open vowel. It gives us more of that sound. Okay, open vowel. Yes, go figure, Zoe. But it really does help us to get that closure on the vocal folds. Let's just go that again. Sorry, let's just watch that again. Oh my God, I can't even speak today.
Planets are aligning to love as one.
So even there, she went to love as one. She went to more of an and almost dropped the tongue back, I think, to create that darkened tone. Could also be a little bit of lowering of the larynx in that moment as well.
Dancing with the sun. Planets are aligning to love as one, and it won't be long till the morning comes. In a sky full of stars, though our lives were above, we've only just begun. One day.
So can you see that where she goes, in that chorus section of the pre-chorus, and the morning comes, she's instead of having a forward placement of that vowel, to which would be a slightly closed vowel, till the morning comes, again depending on your accent, she's gone comes to darken that sound and also bring in some of those lower resonances in the sound. Now, the reason why a singer would do that would be because the juxtaposition between that darker tone and the brighter tone for the chorus is even bigger, so it makes the chorus sound even higher.
Planets are aligning to love as one.
Can you see that high tone? Planets are aligning. So we've got quite a high tongue position there. Now, when I'm saying closed vowel, I'm basically meaning that the mouth is a little bit more closed. There's less space inside the mouth for the vowel.
And it won't be long till the morning comes.
That's a beautiful change. Love till the morning comes. And that timbre change again, this juxtaposition, it creates a really lovely color to the sound. And that's just, again, keeping our interest, but it's also an emotional decision that a singer would make. So it's that love of that, oh, I'm so in love, and kind of that crying out moment till the morning comes. kind of gives that like, I'm feeling all snuggly kind of feeling. So again, we want to play with the emotions in the song as well.
The sky full of stars, though our lives were above, we've only just begun.
Deltas, I mean, look, she's like the ultimate professional, right? She's been doing this for a very, very long time. But you could see that we've only just begun. We didn't have a super high tongue placement, but that's because Delta is already like the queen of chest voice and belting. But she set up that gun, one touch, one kiss. You've got to have the setup already there in the note beforehand to make it easier for that jump.
We've only just begun. One touch, one kiss, all my life for a night like this. The world stops for us, only love fixes where we keep peace, where we peace, where we keep
Oh, is she saying when we eclipse, or is she, I keep on thinking she's saying when we kiss. I have to have a look at those lyrics. I'm a little bit confused there. So we've gone up from the A4 up to the D5. Only just begun. And in that chest voice register, that's a huge fucking jump to go one touch, one kiss. So we want that setup to be there. I always say to my students, we want the scaffolding to be there for that higher note, because otherwise you're pulling the larynx up. Where does that scaffolding come from? We're just going to go back on that. I want you to take a look at her breath. What type of breath did she just take there?
begun. One touch, one kiss, all my life for a night like this. The world stops.
This is beautiful because you can really clearly see what type of breath she's doing. But you notice that they're also very, very small breaths. It's not about tanking up with air, especially when you're singing with a thicker vocal fold, which needs a greater subglottic pressure, which is the area below the vocal folds. That's the sub, right? Think submarine. So when we're building up the pressure, we've got the short breath. One touch, one kiss, all my life for a night like this. You can barely see her working, but that's because this is just, firstly, she wrote the song, so she's been like singing it for ages and ages and ages, but also because she's such an experienced vocalist. And you can also see from her muscles, from her physique, that she is also someone who works out. So the stronger the muscles are here in the upper chest region, actually basically like the whole body, right? But also the back region, we are going to be able to hold back that like desire basically of the breath to completely come out. And that's essentially what we're doing when we're singing. We're trying to hold back the breath the whole time so that we can use it.
For a night like this, the world stops for us. Only love fixes where we keep peace, where we peace, where we keep peace, where we peace. Calling.
She's just fantastic. So we've got that when we eclipse. She's actually bringing the lips quite far forward there in that moment. Now, again, this is totally every artist's decision. It's just that when we bring the lips forward, we are actually darkening the sound. So clips sounds different to clips. Again, personally, for me, when I bring the lips forward, it's actually easier for me to transition through my passaggio to go up further in the range. But again, it's about what sort of sound do you want? What are you going for? Delta's going for this slightly darker timbre overall within the song. And so it would make sense to darken that vowel by bringing the lips forward, because also remember, with her Australian accent, if she goes wide, that's also then going to become even brighter. We just had that. Please, where are we? Okay, she's actually up on that D5 as well, but it's gone up into the head voice or the thinner vocals. You can still see there that relatively, like I would say, north-south mouth shape. We've got a little bit more of that elongation going on.
Call it perfect timing. I call it divine. See, gravity is pulling your heart to mine, and it won't be long.
This is absolutely sublime. I actually watched her semi-final performance as well, and I was really quite surprised to hear the level of vocal fatigue that was going on. Now, I obviously do not know Delta personally, sadly, but it could have been either a cold or it could have been vocal fatigue. These artists have had the most insane couple of months, okay? So whatever it was, we're hearing remnants of that. I was just so happy as well when I heard those first few notes in this grand final performance. I was like, she got her voice back. Now that could have actually become, which I know for a fact that some singers do end up doing for the final, because like you will do anything to get on that stage, right? Sometimes they even get cortisone injections injected directly into their vocal folds through here. Scary as. But if you can imagine, 130 million people watch this show. You want to stand on stage. This is the best performance of your lifetime. So let's just go back on this. This is not for me to like pick out vocal fatigue, but this is what can sometimes happen if a singer is struggling to get vocal fold closure lower down in their range.
Timing, I call it divine.
Did you hear that again? Fine. And she lost the vocal fold contact there. She took the larynx low to get the pitch rather than I call it divine, which isn't low for Delta. Where are we? Yeah, I thought so. We're actually only on the A3 there, which is the A below middle C. Why does that matter? Because that's not low for Delta, okay? She doesn't need to bring in that much air. So that's telling me again, a little bit of vocal fatigue. This is where technique comes into play, people. This is where we go, oh my goodness me, my voice is not operating as it should, which honestly it never does. It's a living instrument. And so this is where technique gets us through. What can I actually do with my voice to create the sounds no matter what my voice is doing? And that's exactly why I want you to join the Vocal Academy, because we are going to help you to do exactly that. We are going to teach you step by step how to build up your vocal technique so that you never have to stand on stage going like, oh my God, please have those notes come out. You are going to know, okay, I can do A, B, and C, and my voice is going to be absolutely fine. That's the whole point of learning proper vocal technique. So you can apply it down in the description below. If you want a voice that is going to be there every single performance and every single time you go on stage. Let's just go back on this.
I call it divine. See, gravity is pulling your heart to mine.
Did you hear that? Gravity is pulling. We heard a little bit of the fluffiness as well coming into the voice. So she darkened the vowel. Your heart to mine. It can be easier, again, as I said at the beginning, it can be easy for us to achieve a thicker vocal fold contact if we make a more open vowel. It's kind of why you notice when people are belting, they're going to tend to go to an vowel and sort of like flatten everything out. It's almost like you can't really understand what they're saying because it's just easier to sing. And honestly, it doesn't matter too much if you can't understand people in pop music. Let's just watch that again.
Is pulling your heart to mine, and it won't be long till the morning comes. In the sky full of stars, I can ride where you are forever. Just be gone.
I just thought in this moment, like if there was Armageddon, would you not want this to be the moment where Delta Goodrem was playing a golden piano? Look at this. No, sorry, I'm just kidding. I'm just getting too excited. I just love that moment. I was like, I feel like, you know, we've got the sun here. We do know that as part of the Aboriginal flag, there is that sun. I wonder if this is part of the meaning. I mean, obviously eclipse, sun, eclipse, but I wonder whether that is even part of the meaning, because this here is just so symbolic for Australia and the Indigenous people of Australia, the Aborigines of Australia. Let's just go back on this, because yeah, I actually haven't read up about the meaning of the back of the stage, so I'm just pontificating.
Your heart to mine, and it won't be long till the morning comes.
She's up on that A4, so we go love. Even though she changed the vowel, she's not changing shit about her placement of that note. Now, we don't actually talk about placement in vocal lessons for like a very long time, because it's kind of like you've got to get a feeling of the voice before we start worrying about the actual placement of where you're putting it. But you can see that love till the morning comes. She hasn't changed anything. She's just dropping in those consonants and changing the words. But really the sound is the same. The vocal fold closure is the same. Thicker vocal folds, chest voice.
In the sky full of stars, I can ride where you are forever as your speed goes.
And she tried to find that sound again. Honestly, I have to say, like, again, I'm not going to nitpick on any of these like funny notes and things like that. I don't know about you. Let me know down in the comments. I found the sound for the semifinals appalling. I was sitting there going like, why is the sound so bad? Because these singers are, like we saw in all of their performance, they are note for note bang on. And this is just the difference with live performance. Obviously, if you've got a shit sound coming through here and you can't hear yourself properly, it is extremely difficult to pitch. So we just heard a little falter there. It's not Delta's fault. It's the sound technique. It's the sound. The sound for Eurovision I actually found was really bad.
As your speed goes.
So you heard the gun. She had those arms out open wide. When we open the arms, we're engaging through those larger lat muscles, even down to the quadratus lumborum, which are these lower back muscles that help to pull back. Well, it doesn't pull back the diaphragm. It stops the rib cage from descent, or like from caving in, to allow the air to kind of be pushed out of the lungs. And so when we take our arms wide, we're actually holding back the breath in the lungs. Again, subglottic pressure. We need that to maintain a thicker vocal fold closure for a longer period of time. We heard a little bit of crackle coming in, a little bit of constriction, you could call it. I don't think that was constriction. I think that was a tired voice, but she didn't then overpower for this next chorus. Again, ultimate professional here.
Your speed goes.
The tricky part is if you start to add, she could have added twang, and I've gone. Twang would have helped to close those vocal folds. But again, only the singer on stage actually knows what's going to work for them. Sometimes if we go to add twang, the note can actually full on slip away from us. And she probably didn't want to change the timbre or the color of the sound. Otherwise, it would have been too drastic of a change to go into that chorus. And also, when our voice is a little bit tired, we really want to stay like in the same gear, like stay in the same color. It makes it much easier.
All my life for a night like these. The world stops for us. Only love exists where we keep.
You see, there's a couple of missed notes there. Again, I really think that the sound was quite bad for a lot of the performers, because there were some really like big missed notes in this final performance. You could hear the vocal fatigue coming into a lot of them as well. When we've got this one touch, one kiss. I mean, look, Delta's also doing a bit of a smile, but the smile also helps us to lift that soft palate, helps us to lift, like internally lift the soft palate to help us to stabilize all of these muscles inside the larynx.
One kiss, all my life for a night like these. The world stops for us. Only love exists where we keep peace. Where we peace.
we do know, we have been singing this with Peter and Linda, that actually usually instruments are all pre-recorded to help us, like to help the Eurovision stage with the changeovers. She wasn't actually playing it, but she can play it because we know Delta's a fabulous pianist. So did you notice though, in the last section when she closed the vowel, there was slightly less of this appearance of vocal fatigue? So we heard we heard like a little falter there in the sound. Again, with swelling of the vocal folds is totally normal. And I don't know shit, right? This is just what I hear. If a singer was standing in front of me and they sounded like that, I would ask them a multitude of questions about what was actually going on with their voice. But we know that she's had a busy schedule, you know? So let's just go back on this because I love this vowel placement here. So when we've got, when we eclipse, she's going from the chest voice into the head voice into a thinner vocal fold there. Now, this is just, again, it's part of the beauty of like learning to be a professional singer. It's not always about driving down in the same sound. Although I said that she's in for that large portion of the louder section of the chorus, she is staying in the same vocal fold quality. Now she's not. She's changing between that lighter and the darker quality because that also helps with the pitch, but it also helps to like not overpower. If like, honestly, if she would, when we eclipse, we would need to move to an air vowel in order to really stay in the appearance of that thicker vocal fold. Or you go, when we eclipse. And the problem is that when we do that with a closed vowel and a thick vocal fold, it actually sounds quite pressed and almost like a little bit squeaky. So that's why she's gone to a thinner vocal fold in that moment. So excited and so emotional. How did she not win? Look, okay, Bangaranga was a jam. How did Delta Goodrem not win? Honestly, I was like screaming at the TV on Saturday, like, how did this happen? Look at this. This is the star, right? Like this is, you look at the other singers and there's like, the energy is there. I mean, look, I think it's honestly got a lot to do with the fact that Delta Goodrem has been a mega star in Australasia and actually even in Britain. You know, she is a huge star and has performed for a very, very long time and has been in these situations before. She knows how to handle herself. Every move is absolutely perfect. You can even see in the rehearsal videos in every single performance that she's done of the song, she's doing all the same arm movements because professional singers don't just go and change all of their staging and change all of this shit around every single time. If you notice, actually all of them do the same thing because that's what you need to do, because it's in there, it's internal, you don't have to think about it. Stop trying to change your performances every fucking 5 seconds. It's not original. It's just going to confuse you.
When we eclipse, we are one love. One gives.
Oh, look at her. She looks like a phoenix. I just think about Conchita when it's like, it's like a, we saw the tongue dipping down in this section, so we're going to watch it again so you can watch the tongue dipping down. How did she not win? So we saw the tongue dipping down there. So we can see, do you know what? It really pisses me off because I saw someone like recently, a very big vocal coach here on YouTube, recently talking on their Instagram about the fact that we shouldn't be hollowing out the tongue like that. Yeah. There's no one rule for this sort of stuff, okay? The reason why she is hollowing out the tongue is because she has allowed the back portion of her tongue to go down in order to darken the timbre for the note. She's not actually like actively hollowing out the tongue, although she might do, because this is a technique actually that we can learn. But that happens when we have enough tension in the tongue, which we need. The tongue should never be just like flapping about in the mouth. We have enough tension in the tongue and she's allowed that dip to go down. What we're doing there is we are giving the larynx a little bit of the tongue so that we can take that really thick belting sound higher in the range. You'll notice though that the tongue is actually, and I say the back of the tongue. So we've got that back at the very back. That's the bit going down. This midsection of the tongue is actually up. Let's just watch it again. She had to make the vowel. That's why she's doing it. And to darken the sound. Okay, I'm going to be really annoying and go and watch that again because I want you to really pay attention to, this is not something that I blanketly say to everybody. This is a very advanced tongue position technique. I don't want you to just go and like apply this to everything. This needs to be looked at on a one-to-one basis because it's really about having the going through your particular song with your teacher and learning good vocal fold closure before we start taking the tongue backwards. If you are looking for a vocal coach, you can apply down in the description below. This has to be looked at separately. Let's go it again. Can you see that? We are. That's what I was talking about, the open vowels. It's all the same placement, okay? She's not going, she's not dragging the larynx up there. She's decided already what the color is going to be. And that's why we dip the tongue down at the back so that we can get the darkening. So it's not like, so that we have like, it almost sounds like two people are singing the song. Again, this is a professional singer thing, that once we get really, really good at the tongue position, it becomes much, much easier for us to handle. I still have to chuckle at her ease, but it's like, just again, I don't know if that's her accent. I know that she had to relearn to talk after I think part of her tongue became paralyzed after her operation. So like, she has worked so hard to get to where she is. The sound's absolutely incredible, and the tongue is paramount for your singing voice. So that could be a section of it. This entire section that she's just sung there, we can hear it's not 100% vocal fold closure. We've got a little bit of breath coming through. That sounds to me like swelling in the vocal folds. Again, I do not know delta. I don't know why that is. Could also be the fact that there's like flames everywhere. It could be a bit dry. Just in this still right here, I want you to see in this still, we have a forward tongue placement behind the back bottom teeth, and then we've got a high back to back of the tongue. We need to raise the tongue in order to be able to raise the larynx as well. So it's not just about one position. It's really about getting a handle on like all of the positions that you're going to have, and then to flow through them eventually through the practice. This whole section of the song was also sung with rather open vowels. I'm going to be really annoying, go back on it because I just love this moment. Can you see as well, she's not really like pronouncing or like enunciating the words, and it doesn't really matter because she's showing us with all of the movements and all the, we don't really need to worry too much about that because in this moment, this is the easiest way for her to get the sound out. And that's more important than the consonants because we've already heard the chorus. For us, only love exists when we can breathe. does go up to the G5. That ba, 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 just adding a little bit of twang there, which is a tightening of the area above the larynx. That's going to allow the vocal folds to thin, which is the way that we can keep them thick. And then go ba, 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 in that belting quality. The larynx is already high. She's taken short, sharp, high breaths in that moment. Delta, how does she not win? So when we go, kiss, she's just like, she's full on in a belt there. Belt is when the cricoid cartilage, this is my thyroid, which is where my vocal folds level with the Adam's apple. The cricoid is the bit underneath it, or the cartilage underneath it. It actually tips back, and the vocal folds become, it allows the vocal folds to become thicker than thick. That's the difference between like chest voice and belt. And then she changed, when we kiss, and she changed the placement then on the K. When we change the placement of the sound, we usually do it like on a particular word. So, and a consonant just kind of like cheats over that change. It's not cheating. It just makes the transition easier. Why would we go kiss? Because then we get a big flip in the sound, and that's not really what she wanted. She got there in the end. It was a little, and then she took the microphone away. Again, this is something that just takes a lot of practice, a lot of being in the moment, listening to yourself, listening to the audience. As I say, I think the sound was really terrible for the semifinals. It was much better for the final, but then again, still upsetting to see some of these amazing performers who have been pitch perfect throughout the entire competition on the final night, ending up missing some of those notes. And that goes to show how a lot of this is also to do with the mental stability of the performer, but also the way in which they view this performance. 160 or 130 to 160 million people watching. This is a huge moment for the singers' careers. And so, there's a lot riding on their shoulders, and for the fact that it's cost a lot of money to get them to where they are. So there's a lot of pressure on them from the broadcasters to do a really, really great job. So in the end, in the final performance, it has a lot to do with how can you manage your nerves on the night. And that's exactly why in my singing lessons, I make sure that we are working through how do we manage our fear when we're leading up to an audition? How can we manage our thoughts? How can we learn to love our own voices? Because ultimately, you have to love it. And that's what I really love about, I think it was Dara, when she was being asked about what she does for the performance. And she just said, you know what? All I want to do is open up my heart chakra, and it's not up to me. It's about the people. And all I can do is my job here on stage. And that is what we work with you on inside the Vocal Academy. But that is the mentality that I wish that I'd had at her age. She's like, I think she's 27 or something like that. It's absolutely amazing. But anyway, Delta has done an incredible job. Wow. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about the final rankings at Eurovision. I have to say I was very, very shocked. We're going to be watching a lot of the performances here. I'm not going to be watching all of them, so let me know in the comments what I should be looking at. If you are looking for actual vocal technique because you want to sing like Delta Goodrem, I'm not going to say like Delta Goodrem, but you want to sing in the style, thicker vocal folds, belting, singing higher in the range, you need one-to-one singing lessons. Hit me up in the description below. Check out some more Delta up here, and I'll see you around here next time. Happy singing! Kaki Dada.